Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel at Literally Surge. Thank you so much for joining us this wonderful Friday afternoon. How's everyone doing? Hi, Breb Castrell. Reconnecting, Clearwater, Gary PA, Stacy, Sandy, Polkaroo. Thank you all so much for joining us today, you guys. Wanted to start by saying that we have a hard stop at 4:50 today because Down the Rabbit Hole News will be interviewing Miriam Francis. We really want everyone in the chat to head over to Rabbit's chat with Miriam Francis today at 5 o'clock. So if you're not following at Down the Rabbit Hole News, make sure you do check it out for yourselves, and let's all hold space and hear what Miriam Francis wants to share with everybody. And then we'll be, reacting and contextualizing as we usually do. So in this episode, we want to continue to contextualize what's already available on the public record, you guys. And in this incisive video, we're going to be reacting to the interview that Mike Rinder gave Danny Jones' podcast, where we aim to dissect the narrative presented by the former head of Scientology's International, CSI. That is their name, you guys. CSI. Office of Special Affairs, OSA. And as Rinder sits there comfortably in the spotlight, as he has for many, many years, we continue to confront the glaring gaps in the inconsistencies of his public statements, particularly concerning the systemic institutionalized policies that perpetuated the trafficking of minors, systemic trafficking of minors within Scientology hotels, and the policies that he conveniently claims to have left behind in 2007, but is nowhere on the public record actually exposing himself and truly coming clean on. So from 1982 to 2007, Rinder served on the board of directors of CSI and held the powerful position of executive director of OSA, WOSA, responsible for overseeing, check this out, you guys, corporate, legal, public relations matter to the 501c3 that he did play a pivotal role to having Scientology's hotels and commercial buildings propped up on a global scale. So as we watch Rinder navigate his responses, we can't help but question his selective amnesia when it comes to the exploitation and abuse of minors that occurred during his tenure. As the questions unfold, we scrutinize Rinder's seemingly contradictory stance on whistleblowing, especially in light of his lucrative consultancy on lawsuits against the very organization he once served. We interrogate the sincerity behind his purported concern for exposing the truth while seemingly profiting from the legal battles waged against Scientology. Battles that as of the year 2024 are somehow not that productive in terms of justice for any kids that have been trafficked inside the hotels, for kids that have been essayed, when he ran that with the rest of his executive buddies. This examination calls into question Rinder's motivations, shedding light on the dissonance between his purported advocacy for justice and the reality of his actions, which we are allowed to question. No stone is left unturned as we shine light into the many inconsistencies that are on the public record, as we continue to seek answers to the pressing queries surrounding Rinder's role in perpetuating the dark legacy of Scientology as it applies to all kids that got ensnared in an adult-only game at best that Rinder has pitched as a religious experience that kids were going to be having for themselves. This video challenges Mike Rinder to confront and actually own his past adult choices and the ramifications and implications those choices played out in how kids that could not consent ended up locked up in unconscionable contracts for billion years, including but not limited to dead bondage, with their passports locked up, all while being told with a straight face that they were nothing but mere volunteers. We will continue to demand transparency, accountability, and a reckoning within the shadows he may still be harboring. None of the kids that got scammed into working for Rinder and the rest of the board that he ran are kids anymore. And the fact is that the kids that were told that were adults in small bodies are now adults in adult bodies. And we require answers to our questions that make a shred of sense. And calling us fleas is just the latest example of the level of tone deafness of the team of legal advocates this man continues to use as pawns to advocate on his defense. Yet in our own personal opinion, systemic child trafficking of minors across state lines and international waters at an industrial-sized scale is something that is indefensible AF. Mike Rinder is being asked to, for once in his literal life, get his actual ethics in. For the sake of all the minors currently being scammed and abused in all the ways that he is perfectly aware they do. For the sake of all the minors who are not adults, including his own child, Benjamin Rinder, and my back then underage cousin, Jackie Rodriguez Rinder, that are still stuck inside of the hotels as we literally speak, being told that they are saving a world. Nothing changes if nothing literally changes, you guys. And that is where we are today. As of the year 2024, nothing has changed. These hotels continue to operate with full impunity. They continue to operate with literally targeting minors, as if we don't have the receipts to prove that. We have the receipts. They're called video recordings. They're called live streamings that took place, where we definitely have Sebastian and the rest of his buddies still going at it, trying to ensnare underage kids to buy a book, Dianetics, the modern science of mental health, because any underage kid really would love to understand what an indicted, convicted, disgusting felon had to pitch. Something that the New York Times editorial board stands fully behind. Something that these courts of the United States are still playing very, very dumb about. Oh yes, you guys, convicted, indicted felons can write books that all of a sudden literally paralyze any type of common sense in these courts under the guise that there's such a huge separation between church and state. So we're questioning that with our 7th grade education that we do have for ourselves. We are questioning that type of egregious, in our own opinion, disgusting abuse of legal so-called powers. As this United States really goes around telling everybody, you guys, America is a whole country of law and order. Oh yes, you guys, we have the best system, the best legal system anybody could ever want to have for themselves. And imagine that that system is hijacked by Mike Rinder, David Miscavige, and Marty Rathbun, all in support of a convicted, indicted felon that they were also goo gaga for. Because that's what we are questioning, Mike Rinder. Why were you so goo gaga for L. Ron Hubbard? And why did you continue to be goo gaga for him until you left, when you were in your 50s? And why do you continue to be goo gaga for him as you have been given all chances to get on the record? I mean, as if this literal podcast that we're going to check out for ourselves, you guys, the number one threat to Scientology, Mike Rinder, is literally not called that. And what is the threat when everything continues to be sanitized pro bono? So let's really react to the actual things that have been stated on the public record, which is reminder to everyone, the only right we have for ourselves after being trafficked in these disgusting hotels as minors. We don't have the right to do anything else. We only have the right to ask questions and demand answers. And yes, we are not having the right to, have Debbie Cook come on the record and really clarify for herself what in the hell she meant by she was having a jolly old time until she was put on a trash can. We can ask those questions on the street. We can ask those questions on a sidewalk. We can ask those questions here in our community of survivors that, finally we have, literally brought up for ourselves. And shout out to every single one of you guys that is doing the only thing that we are allowed to do in this country. Have a freedom of speech, question the narrative, question the sanitized, abysmal record of the disgusting corporate media that has taken it upon themselves to not investigate a shred of a thing, not connect a shred of dot for themselves, act completely pathetic and corrupt, data mine drama of underage kids that they're nowhere on the record stating was anything else, that we had a rocky childhood in that church hotel. So it's time to really continue to advocate and question what's on the public record, which is the only power we have, you guys. So let's take a look and see what in the hell is going on here.
Top senior executives at the Church of Scientology. Number 2 to David Miscavige, I believe. You were pretty high up there, right? Really close to him for a long time. And why don't you just go ahead and give us like a brief background of how you got started in all this?
Well, I got started through my parents. I was introduced to Scientology when I was 6 years old by my parents in Australia, and I was really raised as a Scientologist. And
so we all got introduced to this thing by our parents. So our parents couldn't be more missing anywhere on these narratives, you guys, as they've all been told that they were having a great, wonderful religious experience for themselves and that they could ensnare their kids, and who cares, because nobody was going to question the type of practices kids were going to get ensnared in as long as they were called religious. Imagine that's all it took for parents to, go get their freak on inside of those hotels without a shred of shame and really act self-entitled. Oh yeah, we couldn't be doing anything wrong in these hotels because we did get told that there is a cross on top of the hotel. And as long as you put a cross on top of a hotel in the United States, everything that happens inside that building goes. In the United States, you can hire the LAPD to come and protect you and all your buddies. So shout out to the LAPD, who is getting ensnared with these people and is all about protecting these people. And shout out to all the Scientology parents, including Mike Rinders, who didn't snare him and groomed him to really think that, L. Ron Hubbard, a disgusting, convicted, indicted felon that wrote indefensible pitches on books, we're all okay.
When I graduated high school, I joined the C organization, which is Scientology's inner core of most dedicated elite members.
So good on you to have finished high school, Mike Rinder, because we only got the 7th grade. So at least you got finished with high school.
It's sort of like the Vatican, I guess, or, some very...
The Vatican. Imagine that, you guys. I mean, and you wonder why, Mike Rinder, we still call you the pro bono publicist of these hotels. As you really sit there with a full-blown straight face calling what in the hell was going on in these hotels just the Vatican. It's a false equivalent. It's called a false equivalent. Y'all had no Vatican, nothing inside of those hotels. And you would know that. So this is called being an outrageous, pathological liar that can, with a straight face, make a false equivalent to confuse everyone and really go, well, we really did tell everyone that if they wanted to be a Christian, they could be. And yes, Mike Rinder, just to clarify that for you, since you still don't seem to get it, theology and technology could not be any more different. Check out those 2 words for your damn self real quick and tell us what the difference is between technology and theology. Because what the Vatican has that your hotels didn't is plausible deniability. What the Vatican has that you don't have inside of those hotels is the fact that nothing in their books can really put them in a position where the book said go and violate a law. And if you haven't ever read a Bible, go read a Bible. Go read a Bible and see how many fish and rivers and trees and the earth and the sun and the moon and all of these prose, and it's written in ways that have nothing to do with technology, where dictated terms of engagement were done. And you would know the auditor's code. I'm sure you're very familiar with the auditor's code. That was a policy that pretty much everybody knows in Scientology, you guys. So before you think, oh my God, Serge, you're so in the weeds, no one knows what in the hell auditor's code is, that is one of the first grooming rules of engagement shown to everyone in this hotel. You will not be able to leave the room unless your auditor, the one that's role-playing with you inside of that hotel room, tells you you can leave. Under no circumstances are you allowed to walk out of that room if the auditor doesn't state that. And just like that, Mike Rinder, you can explain why locking up someone against their will, which is a full-blown felony, go check out with Ford Green that just wrote that letter for you. Or don't check with him because apparently he is not doing well, you guys. Apparently he did break his hips and he's like, not doing that well. So maybe that's why that man was co-opted into wrecking his own image in support of this man. But check with someone. What type of situationship would land you and what type of legal defense can really be propped up to defend the fact that all minors subjected to these disgusting extreme role plays had for themselves These were the rules of engagement, Mike Rinder. The Bible doesn't state that. The Bible does not state that. Lock up a child against their will and don't let them out unless you decide that they can. Go check that out for yourselves. Go talk to your Jehovah's Witnesses friends that you got there and see if their books literally said that. I mean, again, you guys, these organizations are all susceptible to be infiltrated by degenerate, horrendous people. And yes, that is a complete horrible thing that happens to apparently a lot of religions. But in Scientology, they don't have that level of plausible deniability because their literal hero, L. Ron Hubbard, their literal disgusting founder. I mean, in what world is any religion calling somebody a founder of their thing, you guys? These people purported that they had a tech company. Imagine they had a tech company and they were calling their tech religious. Imagine that Mark Zuckerberg, all of a sudden, who's in hot waters right now as we speak for very similar things, you guys, as these people, for minors being blackmailed, for minors being sent disgusting things, for all manner of disgusting people grabbing a hold of social media and, you know, targeting minors. But you know what? Mark Zuckerberg has to go to Congress. Mark Zuckerberg has to answer congressional investigations on his disgusting platform because he cannot claim that his technology is also a religion. But, you know, if Mark Zuckerberg wants to claim that his technology is a religion and puts crosses all around Facebook, I'm sure that that's all it would take to all of a sudden have no shred of legal exposure. Because, you know, apparently L. Ron Hubbard is setting that precedent for all people that want to do data mining of minors, recording, transcribing, and putting everything on the record so that everyone in his company is fully implicated.
Very hardcore. You sign a billion-year contract and dedicate yourself to achieving the aims of Scientology. And I went initially to join L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of Scientology, on his boat in the Mediterranean, which was called the Apollo.
You were child trafficked. So I know this might be breaking news to you, but you were child trafficked by your own parents, sent over to a disgusting man that was floating around on a ship. So take off your little rose-colored glasses that you do have implanted in front of your eyes so that you can continue sanitizing the narrative and all the pitches that you always say that, you know, the same little words that I'm sure Monique and you came up with to really purport that all y'all were doing was highly religious.
And Hubbard had left England and was being pursued by various government agencies. And he decided in 1966, 67, that he was going to sort of escape government oversight. And he bought
sort of escape government oversight, Mike Rinder. We already spoke about how he was convicted and indicted in France and was on the run, avoiding being jailed. Avoiding being jailed. He wasn't trying to, oh, I don't want to be having any government oversight. Let me really jump on a ship. I mean, imagine if all Ghislaine and Jeffrey had to do was jump on a ship to escape oversight. Imagine that.
3 ships, and the largest of them was called the Apollo, and he hung out on the Apollo and sailed around in the Mediterranean and then ultimately into the Caribbean. And that was the people from the Apollo in the Caribbean who then moved ashore here to Clearwater in late 1974, early 1975. And I was with Hubbard throughout that time period. And then when we came to Clearwater, or when we came ashore from the Apollo, I was actually one of the very first people that came to the Fort Harrison. I was there when it was still the Jack Tar Hotel before Scientology had taken possession of it.
Scientology or you? Who took possession of that hotel? The first time you actually speak correctly. It is a hotel. You were looking for a hotel. So if anybody in Clearwater wants to know who was one of the first people to come with a sham to its shores, who's one of the first people they should really be thinking that they have no downtown for themselves, is this man who has no trouble admitting that. No trouble admitting that at all, because, you know, as long as he puts distance between him and everything else, and I was just a child, I was 18 and really wanted to go meet L. Ron Hubbard because I was told that I was very, very special. And you did grow up with that delusion. And imagine that delusion took you till you were, in your mid 50s being beat up by David for really to go, oh my God, I really need to leave. So you that live in Clearwater, you can really start taking the questions that Clearwater citizens should be having to you. You explain to them what in the hell really you were all about, since you were that high up in this disgusting criminal conspiracy that you got ensnared on thanks to your parents. Thanks to your parents, Mike Rinder. So do write them a letter, even if they're dead. Maybe that will give you some therapy. Write a letter to your parents about how they ensnared you, they duped you, they bought all of L. Ron Hubbard's things, and you really wanted to get their approval. So you know what? Before you knew it, you were there. Just like all of us got ensnared as kids. Oh, really make your parents proud. Go save a world. Go save a world by abusing others. Go save a world by enslaving others. Go save a world by, making child slavery great again. So write to your parents and tell them what in the hell they were thinking as they literally hand-delivered you to L. Ron Hubbard, just like little Davy Wavy Miscavige too. So y'all can be more cut from the same cloth.
Wow.
I sort of rose in the ranks of Scientology ultimately to become.
Sort of. Okay, you guys, do you see how the pitch just continued? I mean, we just saw another random video where he always says, I sort of rose to the ranks. So for those who didn't catch the last live, you guys, there was no sort of nothing inside of those hotels. No one just rose to the ranks. No one just, oh my God, I find myself on RTC and I just sort of arrived here wearing the military uniform that only RTC can wear. Oh, I just sort of became part of the board of directors. I mean, it's giving you sort of also took over the entire Aftermath Foundation and all the SPTV community's donations that you now fully are using for crisis PR managers and, attorneys, so-called general counsel of the Aftermath Foundation, because I'm sure that everyone on SPTV that was donating with their small donations, with their hard-earned cash, really want for you to, pay whatever in the hell attorney you paid and convinced that they really should go with the line about the fleas and the dogs and making like outrageous, dehumanizing, disgusting statements that just you cannot help yourself from making.
The international spokesperson for Scientology, on the board of directors of the Church of Scientology International, which is the mother church of Scientology, and the head of what
the mother church. Imagine that, you guys. I mean, in what world do these people just come up with the mother church, the church, the church, and mother. Like, there was no mothers inside those hotels. Let's just make that clear, Mike Rinder. Thanks to you, David Miscavige, and Mike Rinder, all of our mothers became degenerate psychopaths. So Mother Church, I mean, in what world do you even use the word mother in anything y'all were doing? Because you know what? If we had a video recording, Mike Rinder, of a session, a random session of any underage kid that took place in the side of those hotels, let's see what type of mother you can invoke as a word. to what you and your buddies were all about having us role play for y'all. Oh, look at these kids, you guys. They're so good at it. They're so good at interrogating. Serge is a superstar. Colin Smith-Levin, isn't he so great? Isn't he so great at pulling the withholds? Isn't Natalie Galbiati the best at pulling the withholds? Shouldn't we just put her in the front of a magazine and really use her to lure more men that want to get a tax write-off thanks to the IRS, thanks to me, Marty, and Dave begging the IRS to allow us to run a hotel where underage kids could be pimped out to the highest bidder? I mean, in case they didn't get assigned to them. I mean, don't worry about you guys. Sometimes people would just end up Natalie Species on her lineup just because, but some people could if they didn't end up in that lineup because everything was a random assignment. Oh, you know what? Right now, Natalie only has 2 PCs and you just came here to pay. Great. For $15 more, you can 50% more, $15 more, 15% more. Just go get her and, we'll accommodate because, Debbie Cook, who ran the friendliest place on earth, literally kid you not, that was her tagline, you guys. Friendliest place on earth. Where, yes, it was very, very friendly, that place and that hotel, come to find out. Not because they were friendly to us, the kids that they were exploiting, because they were very friendly to the donors that were willing to pay cash. Get me that kid. I really want to get audited. I really want to get sec checked. I really want to unload my self-admitted felonies. And every single time I masturbated thinking about them getting turned on because I think we really did know each other in another lifetime. Speak to that, Mike Rinder, because I couldn't find anything about that type of situationship that was systemic and institutional in any of your billion-year lies of omissions and pitches that you did get a major publisher to come and launder your image, to really purport that, once upon a time you had no shred of clue about anything and you just really wanted to save a world.
It's known as the Office of Special Affairs. And the Office of Special Affairs is a very euphemistic sounding or very euphemistic name for the Department of Scientology that deals with external matters, which includes external threats.
So shout out to him, you guys. Credit when credit is due. I think we just the first literal word that has anything to do with reality. Euphemistic AF. That's all y'all ever did. Use euphemisms to distort reality, Mike Rinder. And yes, it sucks to be you. It literally does. It gives us no pleasure to have to sit here in the year 2024 to have to call you out. Because you know what? For years, you've been purporting that, leave it up to me, you guys. If I handle this, if I continue to take the questions, if I continue to, rope all these people that really going to give me the benefit of the doubt because they are not inside the hotels. They have no skin in the game. They can only sit there with a complete lack of critical thinking skills. And I'm sure this guy from Concrete Podcast, you guys, I'm sure he's great at asking questions and whatever, but it's called, when you have no familiarity with the subject, your critical thinking skills are compromised. Even if these reporters really want to ask the tough questions, even if they want to smell a rat, in what world can they smell a rat when they were just told that these hotels were nothing but a Vatican situationship where a lot of religious situations were happening? So euphemistic, all of it is euphemisms because you were all in on the fact you were running organized conspiracy, breaking laws, euphemistically whitewashing everything. So congratulations for euphemistically deciding what type of terms you could use. Mother Church, Mother Teresa, Mother Church, the religion, the church, the cross, the ecclesiastical nature of the orthodoxy, and all manner of words that are used to compromise these American courts that with a straight face have no way to apparently undo a full-blown Ponzi AF scheme that is not only just supported in their shores, it's actually being sanctioned, it's actually being tax write-offed. So this is fully state sanctioned, so no one in Clearwater can say, oh, well, we had no clue, you guys. We had no clue that we've left these hotels run unhinged for all this time because, you know, we were so pressed to separate church and state because Mike Rinder did tell us that it was a church inside of that hotel. So as long as Mike Rinder told us that, then we have all the plausible deniability to really, with a straight face, all Clearwater politicians, y'all are getting called out too. Y'all are the ones that are hosting this disgusting, indefensible, egregious hotel where, congratulations, child slavery has been made great again. Child slavery has been brought back to the shores of America because there's no one in sight that will uphold the Constitution. There's no one in sight in the Clearwater Police that will uphold their oath to the Constitution, but they will cash a quick check, right? Clearwater Police, y'all are cashing checks. Oh yeah, we're really gonna uphold the Constitution, really go to the police academy, really teach the people there that, you know, we're all about upholding oaths. But they play dumb faster than anyone heads can spin at the Clearwater Police, you guys. And I would know because I was there. I already went there. I already gave them the full benefit of the doubt. I already spent hours and hours explaining. Imagine that the Clearwater Police spent hours and hours and hours with me getting interrogated. So what happened here? What happened there? Because I, you know, turned in a very, very, very detailed affidavit. So I thought, oh my God, they really want to know. Oh my God, they really are wanting to do due diligence because they've never been told. They've never investigated a shred of a thing. I would know because I would know how much WOSA, not Mike Rinder, you guys, because he wasn't really in the Clearwater. He had underlings, you know, reporting up to him. Okay, so don't just blame everything on this man. You know, they worked in a conspiracy. They all worked together as a team. And this little definition is going to bite all of you in the literal face right about now, Mike Rinder. So let's really tell everyone how y'all operated as a team, coordinating thereby and therewith. That is the definition of a team. It is people who cooperate one with another to push forward a common purpose. And y'all's common purpose was to act recklessly lawless. And they normally get along great, and y'all were getting along great. Until what? Until Dave started beating the living F out of y'all. Then you didn't want to have anything to do with this anymore. Oh my God, this isn't religious anymore. I really am having, you know, second thoughts about how religious this environment is for me. And it sucks to be my literal son, Benjamin. Better luck next lifetime, Benjamin. Better luck to you that did have cancer and have all manner of possible predispositions. But you know what? Better luck, because I can't even get a message into you because it sucks. It really sucks, you guys. The mother church doesn't want us to say anything. The mother.
Which means taking care of the enemies of Scientology.
Right.
And that history, when L. Ron Hubbard died in 1986, there was a sort of a vacuum created. He didn't leave any specific, clear instructions about what was to happen after he croaked. And
L. Ron Hubbard was being investigated by the IRS, Mike Rinder, yet again. And you see his little body language, you guys. He's thinking, what do I say? Oh yeah, there was a big vacuum, and you know, L. Ron Hubbard was in his grave. He was gonna be shut down by the IRS. Y'all owed over $1 billion of taxes. Y'all were refusing to pay. So please, come on. That's literally on the public record, Mike Rinder. You lie on things that are on the public record as simple GTS. And you guys know already what that means. GTS, Google that, you know what. Just Google it. Okay, so what was going on with Scientology right before L. Ron Hubbard was about to, oh, look, $1 billion. Oh, the IRS was gonna shut it down. Oh yeah, you know, there was all this information. They had just gotten 11 people indicted and convicted for stealing boxes from the government, which we've already told you guys, the government does not want their paperwork touched. But the government of the United States is 100% comfortable with having underage kids touched. But just don't touch their boxes, because then you might get some indictments in the United States. If you touch a box from the government, they will come down hard on you. They will make a case and they will uphold the law. But if you touch minors and kids and you video record it all and you transcribe it all and you put it all over your hotels, then no, it's an ecclesiastical matter and no one at the FBI can do a shred of a thing, because we couldn't be more compromised. We couldn't be more kneecapped. Because apparently we don't pay these people enough to do their goddamn jobs. And apparently we don't give these people enough power to do their job at the FBI, at the DOJ, at the LAPD, at the Clearwater PD, at the FDLE. How many more agencies do we have to mention that are sitting there with their literal heads at your... You guys know what I mean.
And David Miscavige, the current leader of Scientology, ultimately prevailed in a sort of power struggle and took over and has followed in the footsteps of Hubbard since then. So initially I worked for Hubbard, but then I started working for Miscavige when he took over. And I was...
I mean, again, Mike Rinder, it's giving you're playing dumb. I'm sorry, but it's giving you are playing dumb. Oh, initially I worked for L. Ron Hubbard, and then I was working for David. What the hell type of difference would it make if you work for David or Hubbard? If they all, who had the policies that were being followed, Mike Rinder? What policies was Davey Wavy, the high school dropout, the unhinged high school dropout that his own father couldn't wait to get rid of? That his own father couldn't wait to be like, what the hell do I do with this kid? Oh, L. Ron Hubbard is hiring. Okay, David, 16 years old, get on a plane and bye-bye. Get the hell out of this house. We can't stand you anymore. So yes, you used to work for L. Ron Hubbard, and then you were working for David, and then you were working for whatever. And what policies were you following? What really changed between one and the other? What, David is more unhinged, more disgusting, more whatever? I mean, that's what you say. But who in the hell wrote the policies that empowered David and you and all the rest of your disgusting buddies? Guillain LeServe, Mike Yeager, Ray Midoff, all you bunch of pathetic degenerates that were all goo-goo gaga for a convicted, indicted felon that y'all knew was a convicted, indicted felon back then. So don't play dumb that, oh, that's news, breaking news for us, Serge. If only someone would have told us that L. Ron Hubbard was convicted and indicted, then everything would have not happened.
Along with another guy called Marty Rathbun, sort of the two people who dealt with all external matters for Scientology. The IRS exemption, dealing with governments, dealing with legal cases, with the media, with all anything that had to do with Scientology's relationship to the world and the difficulties that may be having PR-wise or legal-wise.
So there you go, you guys. So when all of you ask me, so Serge, why do you always talk about Marty Rathbun, David Miscavige, and Mike Rinder as the three amigos from hell? Because here you are, Mike Rinder, telling everyone on the public record who were the three people dealing with what in the hell you just discussed. All legal matters, all PR that Scientology's having for itself, that you, David, and Marty were having for yourselves. Stop generalizing and laundering what in the hell you are doing. Because it's called you being a pathetic, pathological liar who cannot even help himself. So there it is, you guys. On the public record, who was behind getting the IRS approval? Marty Rathbun, Mike Rinder, and David Miscavige were the masterminds of that disgusting scheme. And why does that matter? Because without that scheme, we wouldn't be sitting here. Without that scheme, 1993 would have been nothing. They would have said, oh, the hotels are shutting, you guys. Get the hell out of here. They've been seized by the federal authorities. It's been found out that there was, institutional trafficking of kids going on. And, we are the United States. We did write in a constitution somewhere on a piece of paper that slavery was abolished. So as much as these people really want to show everyone that a 501c can exist and can make slavery great again, we're going to have to shut that down. But no. In comes Mike Rinder, David, and Marty, fully unhinged, fully determined to do anything. Nothing was off limits for these people. Nothing was off limits. The fair game policy was literally their favorite little tool to ruin, to act unhinged, to act with full impunity, because it is a mafia. It's a cartel of disgusting, unhinged child traffickers that all went with the pitch. Don't you worry about it. You're not hurting any children because they are adults. So grab their passports and ensnare them in these slave contracts that they will have the full-blown consent to sign. So all that they needed to do, all that you needed to do, Mike Rinder, to not have this conversation with us is have propped up y'all's hotel. Y'all's disgusting hardcore bondage scene from Hell Hotel that you are allowed to have, that you are allowed to prop up for your damn selves. Because you know what? No one could come to the rescue of any 21-year-old and up that's signing with a full-blown straight face the type of contracts that you and your little lawyer friends were putting together. That's all you would have needed to prop up the child slave, the adult slavery. Imagine that all you needed to do was card people at the door and be like, oh, where's your car? Oh, you're not 21, out of the hotel. You can't even make the consent of grabbing a beer at an establishment, then you cannot come inside of our hotels because these are only adult games only. This is a hardcore bondage scene where everyone's going to be wearing military uniforms, where everyone's going to be calling all manner of randoms by sir and Mr. something, Mr. this, Mr. that. Why in the literal hell did you disgusting degenerates bring kids to the hotel? Explain that to the FBI Crimes Against Children unit. I'm sure it's breaking news to them. Because, between the Vatican, the ecclesiastical, and the mother, whatever in the hell, I'm sure the FBI is still scratching their you-know-what. Because they're like, oh yeah, we can't do anything at the FBI because you know what? We did get told by Mike Rinder that they really were all about doing something very religious inside of those hotels. And we wouldn't want to tell an adult what to do at the FBI. We would never want to do that. We really want to be very respectful. I mean, who are we to judge what any 21 and up wants to do for themselves? Well, breaking news to you, FBI. Breaking news to you, LAPD. Breaking news to you, FDLE. Explain to us, minors ensnared in these disgusting hotels, why were parents, our own parents, being allowed to pay up for us to be ensnared in hardcore role play scenes where no boundaries were allowed, where no limits were ever discussed, where our limits, our comfort level was no one's concern inside of that hotel. All done with full impunity, all done to y'all's benefit. So it's going to be really great for your criminal case that you will never do for yourselves, because you'll just play dumb for the rest of your lives and go, oh, look, you did video record this. Oh, look, you did also transcribe this. Oh, look, you signed off all the people that found out all about this right here. Oh, okay. Well, then you know what? That's called being very religious in America. So better luck next lifetime. So yes, Mike Rinder, thank you for getting on the record that you, Marty, and Dave, the three amigos from hell, were at the very top of this pyramid scheme, racketeering, conspiring, scheming, how in the literal hell you were going to be able to abduct minors from all over the world to land inside of your disgusting hotels, where all of you adults normalized at an industrial size scale to expose kids to unthinkable, indefensible role plays. So before you get really offended, well, why are you calling it a role play, Serge? So was I not the auditor, Mike Rinder? Was I not told that I wasn't the 15-year-old that I was? And was I not told that, oh, no, you're just a class 4 auditor now? Yeah, you got the certificate here. Oh, here, look, certificate. You're not Serge, you're class 4 auditor. And that person over there, that's your PC. So in what world was I a PC? In what world was I an auditor? In what world are you using euphemistic terms so your hardcore scene cannot be detected by the idiots at the Clearwater Police, by the complete idiots at the FBI that apparently you've been all in touch with? Apparently, oh my God, we've been confidential informants for I don't know how many decades, right? Claire Headley, you've been a confidential informant for the FBI for the last 18 years. I mean, that's what your husband is on the record now stating, that y'all been talking to the FBI for the last 18 years. And you, Claire Headley, the top of RTC, the one that had access to the looking system, watching kids get abused, directing how those kids could get more abuse because they weren't liking it.
Wow. So what was it like being around L. Ron Hubbard? And how old were you at that time?
I was.
I'm sorry, Mike Rinder, but wow. Wow. How inappropriate for you to be after you just lied your ass off and you just tried to, you know, endear and granolify yourself. Oh, I'm just so granola. I'm here wearing my little checkered little professional spokesperson shirt because I really want to talk a lot about Scientology.
18 when I first arrived. I just turned 18 when I first arrived on the Apollo with Hubbard. He was...
You know what I was doing when I was 18? Do you know what I was doing when I was 18, Mike Rinder? I was stuck in the hole of Debbie Cook, interrogating a self-admitted PEDO. So I hadn't just arrived anywhere. I had already been abducted thanks to you, Marty, and Dave. Thanks to Marty Rathbun sending the self-admitted PEDO, Marcus Ginter, to the hole. Because you know what, you guys? He did confess. He did fully self-admit. Oh yeah, Marty Rathbun, you know what I've been doing with all the little girls that get sent to me to do, you know, ethics handlings inside of the Fort Harrison Hotel? I've been putting them on my lap. I've been doing... Call up your little friend, Marty Rathbun, and ask him what type of self-admitted felonies he got out of Marcus Ginter. You go and ask him. And then you can also call up your little friend, Debbie Webby Cook, the crook, and go, what's up, Debbie Webby Cook, the crook? Did you ever know anything about Marcus Ginter being a self-admitted PEDO? Was he sent there by RTC, Marty Rathbun, the Deputy Inspector General of Ethics? Imagine you called yourself that, you guys. Imagine you wore a fake military uniform, and imagine you're just getting paid right now as we speak to shut the F up. And imagine that Mike Rinder is getting paid to prop up and launder his image here, you know, because he's one of the good guys, you know? He's not like Debbie Cook. He's not like Marty Rathbun. I won't take the money from, you know, the 501c that I propped up because I really do have a spine. But you know what? Let me just, you know, make a little money here, legally consulting on lawsuits, like make a little money here, going into Hollywood and getting myself an Emmy, because that's all it's going to take to launder my image. That's all it's going to take for people to buy the pitch that I'm Papa Smurf when you're really literally fucking Gargamel.
A very larger than life character. He was a large man, just physically, but he was also had this sort of commanding presence of, you know, you knew when he walked in a room, even if you didn't see him. He was just a big, narcissistic, but somewhat humorous, but crazy, but super smart. But like this, the enigmas surrounding L. Ron Hubbard are kind of hard to describe. There is a very, very brilliant book.
The enigma surrounding you, projecting that L. Ron Hubbard was all those things, projecting that the man you had a face-to-face with was this, Mike Rinder. That's the enigma right about now. Because everything you just projected about L. Ron Hubbard is what you are giving in present time, mind you. You're not 6 feet underground just yet, but you are just blabbing your mouth. Oh, he was real larger. He was very humoristic. I mean, imagine you're even still calling him humorous. I mean, imagine with a straight face, you're still doing his PR pro fucking bono.
Written by an English author called Russell Miller, that is an unauthorized biography of L. Ron Hubbard. And that book, Barefaced Messiah, is the best insight into the life of Hubbard. Hubbard was at heart, he was a bullshitter. He was a storyteller. He made his living writing.
Oh, well, you know, in the other podcast, you said he wasn't a bullshitter. He was just a storyteller. So I guess you are changing your tune here. You went from bullshitter to, oh no, now he's a bullshitter and he's also a storyteller. So bullshitter, storyteller, let's just, you know, switch it up real quick.
Fiction works, science fiction, and other sorts of pulp fiction. And he basically took his skill as a writer of fiction and turned it into a money-making proposition as the author of Scientology. And
well, you turned in kids being enslaved as a very lucrative money proposition, as if we were not making $2 million per week when we were stuck in those hotels. For y'all, Mike Rinder, for y'all. And ask Debbie Cook if we're just exaggerating. Ask her, how much money were y'all making, Debbie Cook? How much donations from adults who really want to go paid for the amazing experience of having an entire slave workforce of minors that didn't consent? Because we already told you, Mike Rinder, if y'all would have just, you know, carded everybody and really make sure that 21 and up, you have to be 21 and up if you want to be a willing slave for us. If you want to be humiliated, disgustingly stampled upon, trashed, lose all your rights, never have any liability for any disgusting things. I mean, again, adults can have the ability to consent to be part of that level of scheme, but not kids.
And, you know, there are things in Scientology that are, that most people would agree with. It's not all nuts.
Right.
Like there's enough of it that is sort of makes sense and does help some people.
Oh, yeah, that's right, Mike Rinder. Credit when credit is due. It does sort of help some people. You know what kind of people get helped? Self-admitted pedos. Very helpful for them. Very, very helpful for them to admit that, you know, the admitted, self-admitted, incriminatory admission of having done all of those disgusting felonies to their kids, very a la Miriam Francis' father, who was given very, very helpful stuff that made a lot of sense to him. Because he got told, oh, you didn't commit a felony against your daughter, you just were confused. And you know, because you were confused, you had an evil purpose. And because you had an evil purpose, you committed a felony. And because you committed a felony, your needle did float. And all of a sudden, this magical technology that makes a lot of sense to you was used to launder a full-blown, disgusting felony. Essay on kids is no joke, Mike Rinder. But I guess you would have no idea what in the hell that is, because you only were at the receiving end of the reports arriving to you. Breaking news, Mike Rinder. This kid just got essayed. Here's all the details. Here's the transcript. Here's the video recording. Here's the folder. Here's how many times he's done it. Here's, you know, what we think we really should do. Because that's what he wanted, you guys. All these things. Here you go. Everything. So I guess it's really great that you were not essayed. It's really, really great that you had a wonderful time, you know, floating around with L. Ron Hubbard, larger than life that he was. And just like that, you're still sanitizing and telling everyone how there's so many really, you know, logical things about Scientology. Very, very logical. You are a complete and utterly disgusting person. Intellectually dishonest AF. With what kind of straight face can you be really saying that? Where you cannot even defend the fact that kids were locked up against their will. Because again, you guys, the whole idea is like, oh, well, L. Ron Hubbard did say that, you know, in the way to happiness, to, you know, don't do things to others that you wouldn't like them to do to you. Isn't that a great statement done and said by L. Ron Hubbard? Isn't that just so great that we do have a whole book called The Way to Happiness? So, you know, some bad stuff over here, some good stuff over there, you know. Serge must be really pressed about, you know, whatever happened to him. He must be so deranged. He must be so, you know, mentally ill is what I hear is being said about me, Mike Rinder. And you would know who's saying that. You would literally know for your damn self. Well, you know what? Project away. Project away. Call us fleas, call us mentally ill, call us whatever in the hell you want. Because we don't give an F. We have the facts on our side. We have literally climbed our way out of the grave y'all left us for, dead as roadkill. And yes, you weren't counting on us ever connecting a shred of dot. So, well, thank Marty Rathbun for that. Thank him. Because Marty Rathbun did do sect checking school to the kids. Marty Rathbun did put a literal hypothetical JUN next to our temple. If we were not swinishly suspicious, if we were not confronting evil, our temples were to be blown out. So thank Marty Rathbun for that. Thank him very much. Write him a commendation while you're at it. Write a raging, amazing, wonderful commendation to your little buddy. That today cashes checks to shut the F up.
And is pretty benign and
benign.
Interesting. What's sort of interesting about it is how cleverly it is constructed to have a sort of a face to the world and a presentation to new people that makes it kind of attractive and interesting. And only once you've immersed yourself in it more do you start to see the darker side.
Right.
But-
yeah, it seems like it.
Wow. Wow. I mean, literally, MF, wow. It's sort of benign. It's sort of really constructed real well until you really go into the deepest of the deepest, you're really going to see the dark side. What was benign about it, Mike Rinder? By all means, type it up for yourself right now, or have your attorneys type that up real quick. Real quick. Tell us what was so benign about it. Because that's when you and all the kids that entire childhoods were destroyed. Maybe you had a wonderful childhood under your parents. Apparently you did, because you're not really complaining about them much. You're not really raising any issues about what in the hell they did to you, about how in the hell they normalized all of this to you and for you. I mean, apparently your own mother didn't even want to talk to you after you left Scientology. Imagine. But what was so benign about it? Literally, please advise.
And at least for face value, it seems like a very productive, get shit done, get rid of the negative influences in your life. And it's a very positive way to, be a better version of yourself in all aspects, at least for face value.
Well, that's what it promotes.
Right.
And like I said, there are aspects to it that are presented to the world that make it appear that way.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. These people do become real gung-ho about whatever in the hell they're doing, and they couldn't be more gung-ho to get their agenda executed. They couldn't be more gung-ho to act without a shred of scruples, because as long as whatever in the hell L. Hubbard told them to do, to empower themselves, they will do, without a shred of critical thinking skills. So yes, they're very productive. Yes, they do get a lot of shit done because they are on a perpetual 24/7, 365 deranged delusion of grandeur power trip from hell. So yeah, I'm sure right about now we should really go. The cartels in Mexico make a lot of money. So they're very productive. There's something benign about what they do. There's always something benign about organized crime, isn't it, you guys? Organized crime couldn't be more benign. They couldn't be more productive. They couldn't be all about getting shit done. Tell us what cartel, what mafia is not effective when their entire matrix is literally propelled by all of these disgusting people rubbing each other's back. Breaking news. That is how in the hell these mafias, these cartels, these racketeering schemes work. It's a network of people all working to do the same thing, all giving each other passes to do the same thing, all covering up everything they are doing. So in what world can we really see a lazy mafia that doesn't do anything and it's just failing? And oh my God, they're so pathetic. They're failing in their business. There really is a lot to really look up to.
The unfortunate truth is that there is a very dark underbelly to Scientology. And, that's what we really covered in the Aftermath series that Leah Remini and I did.
Mm-hmm.
And now we are covering on the podcast that we are doing, which is called Scientology Fair Game. And
Plug your shit away. Shamelessly plug your shit away. Because shouldn't we all just be so thankful to you and your little Aftermath deal? How much did you get paid for that, Mike Rinder? How much did you get paid for that? and your little podcast and your little consultancy deals and your little whatever. This man was selling used cars when he was kicked to the curb by David. And he didn't like that. And that's not my opinion. That's not my judgment of him. That's what's on the public record, him stating. So he didn't want to sell used cars for the rest of his life. He wanted to go back to, I'm going to save a world. I'm going to save a world. I'm going to really, be part of another board of another 501c, the aftermath that's really going to save another world. And it's always the same thing with you, Mike Rinder. You always end up in the exact same position, really a board member of Child USA. In what world are you an advocate for children? We would love to understand that, Marcy Hamilton. In what world did you pick this man to serve on your board, Child USA? Did you not Google? Did you not check that he was on a 501c that was systemically, institutionally trafficking kids?
Fair game is the real meat of the nasty business of Scientology, because
Wow. Fair game is the real meat of the nasty business of Scientology. What about the pedos getting away with self-admitting to their crimes, Mike Rinder? Do you see, guys, why Miriam is being told that she deserved everything that happened to her? Because that's not the nasty. That's not the nasty. It's a fair game. It's a fair game. It's all of the adults that this man and the rest of his proteges in that office subjected to illegal, full impunity, full plan, full racketeer, full scheming, full conspiracy, full lawlessness. So yes, as much as it's been already covered ad nauseum, fair game is a thing. They do it. They don't give an F. They'll break any law. They'll break any rule. They don't care because, as long as literal self-admitted PEDOSs have a technology where they can go and tell on themselves, fully self-admit, get a tax write-off, float a needle, and then the SA victim is all of a sudden completely fixed. And don't think they just did this on kids. They did this to the Jane Does as well. Oh yeah, so Danny Masterson SA'd you and did this disgusting, horrible things. Oh, don't you worry about it. Come with us. Come with us. We're going to really help you. We're going to really sell you packages that are going to clarify how you pulled it all in. So imagine that you're this disgusting man that really can, with a straight face, talk about, fair game is really the nasty of the nastiest of nasty.
fair game is the policy and practices that were laid out by L. Ron Hubbard to destroy enemies. And
yes, that's right, Mike Rinder. L. Ron Hubbard wrote that back in the mid-60s. Then L. Ron Hubbard and all of his disgusting minions that were doing that did get indicted and convicted. Then y'all pitched how, oh my God, we really have changed our ways, FBI. We really have learned our lesson. We really did get rid of Mary Sue Hubbard and the rest of those disgusting people that did that. And we will never do that ever again. So don't you worry about it. Let us continue exercising our First Amendment right, including but not limited to getting our freak on with kids inside of these hotels.
And Danny, you wouldn't believe the detail that he went into on how you go about doing that. And this is all written in documents that are they're not readily available. They're much more available now.
They are very, very available now, Mark Rinder. They really are very, very available thanks to you. And again, with the deflection. L. Ron Hubbard wrote all these things, Danny. You wouldn't believe what he wrote. You wouldn't believe what he said. Well, who was executing that for how many decades? Because that's what we would like to understand right now, Mike Rinder. Who did the dirty, disgusting bidding of a convicted, indicted felon? He's under his grave. You continued carrying on his legacy. But apparently, you guys, all it takes for you to wash your hands off of blood of minors is literally this: walking out of a threshold of a hotel. And as soon as you walk out the other side of the threshold, very innocent, you guys. I'm so innocent. Imagine this man spent so many decades selling incrimination to all of our parents. And all of a sudden, he's nowhere to be found to even set the record straight. But you know what? He is going to consult on lawsuits, and he is going to, give legal strategy because he really knows what in the hell. Imagine the attorneys that are getting literally bamboozled by this bozo, the clown from hell, the It clown from hell. I mean, Steven Spielberg's It clown literally looks like, I don't know, Mary Poppins in comparison to you right about now.
WikiLeaks has got a bunch of them. I've put a bunch of them on my blog. They've sort of leaked out over the years, but
you got a bunch of them that you were hiding for yourself, Mike Rinder, not just on your blog. Stop pretending that you're so transparent. Oh yeah, I'm going to really give you all the details, you guys. You hand select what you tell. You hand select what's convenient for you to talk about. You hand select and are very careful to contextualize and put yourself in a ton of distance. And imagine all of you guys that have been really just holding space for him. Yes, it sucks to be in a cult. You could have been influenced to do a bunch of horrible things and have presented a bunch of very much, I would say, plausible deniability for all of them and be like, okay, well, if you really say that's how it happened, we really have to trust you because I guess you really do feel sorry about what you've done. But where is the actual, receipts of him feeling bad? Where's the repentance when we're seeing here that literally as of 3 years ago, he was still at it? Pro bono PR person that he can help himself not be.
These are documents that say basically to harass, intimidate, trick, lie, destroy enemies. And enemies is I put in quotation marks because in the Scientology or the Hubbard definition of enemy is anybody who disagrees with, questions, opposes, or criticizes Scientology in any way.
In what world is this not racketeering, Mike Rinder? In what world are you really citing your little guru, L. Ron Hubbard? Oh yeah, L. Ron Hubbard did tell us to destroy, to intimidate, and you're still at it. They're still at it. Your proteges you left behind in your office are still at it. In what world are you an informant for the FBI that really did tell them everything they needed to really know, to really do their job, to really, start a criminal case? When you're here on the public record admitting y'all were acting with full-blown impunity, premeditated impunity is what in the hell it's called. Oh, go and commit a crime as long as you really stop the enemies. It's giving mafia. It's giving, that's what in the hell the RICO laws were erected for. So that mafiosos in New York couldn't just continue to get away with breaking every last shred of law in a conspiracy. So go ask your little friend how a conspiracy is literally made up. Go ask your general counsel and ask him, what are the RICO laws? Would the RICO laws apply or would the RICO laws not apply? Because again, as long as you put a little cross, as long as you say ecclesiastical, nothing of the law applies. Imagine that, you guys. The mafia of New York was all about scheming and scamming for themselves and, ensnaring and abusing adults. And these people ran that on kids. Do you know how low of the low you have to be, Mike Rinder? Even the criminals have no taste, have no literal patience or bandwidth for a shred of, oh, you poor little thing. You were into abusing minors and women? Literally. I mean, what else? What else? What else?
It's not, you don't have to be an out and out criminal to be designated an enemy of Scientology.
Right.
Oh my God. Good news, you guys. Breaking news here. You don't have to be a criminal. Imagine these people cover up for criminals. And then they'll sit there and project that everyone that wants to stop them is a criminal. How does that work, Mike Rinder? How does that literally work? Because as we speak, you guys, how many of the protesters, the peaceful protesters that put themselves under 24-hour surveillance of what in the hell they're doing, getting blamed for being criminals, getting blamed for bringing BOMBs and GUNs around because they really are criminals. They really want to stop us because L. Ron Hubbard told us that. So who are the criminals, Mike Rinder? Who are they? Because you sound real confused. You really look at this. You couldn't be more confused. I guess this is the face of confusion right here. This is the face of confusion that we all get to see.
You can just be a person who speaks on TV or does an interview or writes a story. I mean, Tom Tobin and Joe Childs are enemies of Scientology.
Oh my God, not Thomas C. Tobin, not Thomas C. M.F. Tobin, your little buddy that helped all the executives put a little tide on your way out of the hotel. Don't worry about it, Mike Rinder. Oh yeah, I've known you a long time. Oh yeah, you changed a lot when you walked out of those thresholds of the hotels. Let's type it up. The truth rundown is what we're gonna go with. Don't worry, we're not gonna make you look that bad. Really want to get stories about Dave because you know what? Those sell so many newspapers. You type the name David Miscavige, and then all of a sudden, our bank accounts and our failing 501c Tampa Bay Times start going up. But yeah, I'm sure that Thomas C. Tobin is the enemy. Thomas C. Tobin is an enabler. Thomas C. Tobin is your buddy. Thomas C. Tobin is the one that helped you launder your disgusting image. And look how effective he was, y'all. Look how effective he was. So yes, shout out to you, Thomas C. Tobin, enemy of Scientology that you were not. Enabler, image launderer that you are. Your stupid paper that has for decades sat there investigating nothing, getting nothing right other than washed up narratives, wishy-washy whatever's spreads that you've done to really purport that Debbie Cook, the woman who ran these hotels, that this man and Marty Rathbun, oh my God, Tampa come to the support of these disgusting hotels and these people that locked themselves up and had a 5'4" person really beating them. Really, all let's pray. Thoughts and prayers for y'all. And yeah, Thomas C. Tobin, you, the real enemy. And
You know, the reporters from the Tampa Bay Times, in fact, back in the early days of Scientology in Clearwater, there was a reporter for the then St. Pete Times, Betty Orsini, who had exposed the fact that Scientology had purchased the Fort Harrison, because when that was done, it was done under the guise of being a front group called the United Churches of Florida.
Right.
And the Southern Land Development and Leasing Corporation. And it was like, she exposed that and she became an enemy. And there was a bunch of things that were done by Scientology to try and destroy her.
by Scientology or by you? I mean, again, Mike Rinder, by Scientology or by you? Weren't you the head of OSA back then? I mean, do you guys understand the level of deflection and intellectual dishonesty that this man is sitting there with a straight face? I mean, mind you, the podcaster that he's talking to, just everything's going over his head. Up. Oh, okay. He just told you that he was the head of that. He just told you he was one of the first people to touch land and to put that fake story there. And he does know the woman that he would have run a horrendous, disgusting, fair game campaign on, just for the simple fact that she found out who in the hell they were. She missed Mike Rinder's withhold. She missed that children were the slaves of these disgusting degenerates. Imagine that the Tampa Bay Times has never figured that out for themselves. Has never been able to connect a shred of dot for themselves. But, you know, they do love reporting on buildings and David Miscavige. Those are their favorite things to type up for themselves. Oh, a lot of buildings being bought, you guys. Really, let's tell you the breaking news of all the buildings being bought, Tampa Bay, because I'm sure the Tampa Bay people really do give an F about buildings.
Career and her life, get her fired from the St. Pete Times, get her husband to divorce her. I mean, it was like an out and out campaign. And there are being campaigns. The mayor of Clearwater at that time, Gabe Cazares, who was also very upset about the fact that nobody had been up front when we first came to Clearwater, became the target of a monumental efforts to destroy him. He was set up in a fake hit and run accident at a conference in Washington, D.C.
Who set him up, Mike Rinder? Who set him up? Stop putting distance between you that was running that office and you putting your little granola look. Oh, this happened to this person and this. You're not the translator of what in the hell they do. You were there running the place. You were there masterminding, conspiring, implicating yourself with full impunity or not. We're asking you, because this is what's on the public record. We're asking you that already told us that you were the head of OSA. We're asking you that already told us you got there and you were the first person, one of the first people to ever see the Fort Harrison Hotel. So imagine the leadership of Clearwater couldn't be more kneecapped today because none of them have a shred of spine. They're all standing up and really safeguarding that these hotels continue to act with impunity, continue to recruit minors and ensnare them in their sick, disgusting, hardcore scene that anyone under 21 does not have a shred of capability to consent to. And yes, it sucks. You're an adult. You want to be part of this disgusting scene? Then go get yourself a criminal attorney. In what world are any of us owing these adults to really come to their rescue? We're advocating for the kids that got ensnared in this and are now, 45, 30, still completely stuck, still completely with no way out of that hotel, that would not have a shred of a clue due to the arrested development that they have experienced on a diet of L. Ron Hubbard 24/7, 365. And then we wonder why a 14-year-old at 35 couldn't be more naive and gullible and dumb all at once. Because in what world were their brains supposed to connect a shred of dot? In what world is that?
They planted documents in files saying that he was bigamously married to a woman in Mexico. They got students, quote, students who were young women to claim that he was having affairs with them. And this was all documented after the FBI raided Scientology in 1977 in Washington, D.C. and Los Angeles, and discovered all the documents that laid out these plans to destroy people.
Wow.
So why haven't you gone to the FBI and told them where all your documents are? And I mean, in what world does the FBI already had a very successful raid, you guys? Very, very successful raid that the FBI had for themselves when they were really pressed that documents of these United States were touched. Because again, you don't want to be seeing the wrath of the FBI for a paper that might be removed out of their offices. Then they will be so inconvenienced, they will have a raging fit, and they will do their job. So imagine that every single last shred of evidence that they had back then that the FBI did find for themselves. It's not like, oh yeah, you guys, after Waco, Texas, nobody really wanted to stop any religions because look how bad they went for them. These are not the same people, you guys. These are not the Waco, Texas people. These are the ones operating large-scale luxury hotels in Florida. These are people that have been paying a lot of money to a lot of very prominent AF attorneys that are nowhere on the public record, reigning back unhinged monsters such as this one. It's called "The President Has Been Set." Even the IRS told them, if y'all are found to be doing illegal activities, we're really going to revoke your 501c3. Well, imagine being the idiots at the IRS. The ones responsible, the ones that actually give the tax write-off to the self-admitted PEDOSs. So just so that the FBI and the IRS knows who the IRS is, you IRS people are the ones that are going, oh yeah, look, Lizzie Wizzy Moss just gave $100,000 to her church. Okay, well, launder it. We don't know anything about anything at the IRS. We just take everything at face value. We have no auditors. We have nothing. All these millions and billions and millions being raised on child slavery raise no flags at the IRS. Nothing raised is a red flag. Apparently, nothing does, you guys. And that's what's being questioned today. And these people are acting so pressed because how dare you all ask questions? I mean, in what world are you allowed to ask questions? In what world are you allowed to question what's on the public record already? In what world are you doing that is what we're being told today. All of us, all of y'all, all the TikTokers that are out there today that Mike Rinder already told us are being literally pitched by OSA as some horrendous, disgusting criminals, as if they didn't have the files on all of them. Chris Without a Hellcat said he saw them pull it out. Oh, look, here's the file for this man that we just falsely accused without a shred of evidence that he had a BOMB. So Paulette Cooper, once again, I mean, their shit falls flat because they are under scrutiny. They are under surveillance. The cameras are now turned against them too. We have protection as well. They cannot stand that because protected us that are saying, no, don't do this to kids, is really inconveniencing a whole bunch of adults that want to continue having unfettered access to minors, unfettered access to ensnare them with full impunity, to literally make child slavery great again in America. So I really want to go through some of your super chats and questions, you guys, because we are going to end off before Miriam's stream happens. Jack Lass, legend. Thank you, Jack Lass. Thank you for holding space for us. Casey Cat, Serge, what is the name of your book? Currently rereading Jenna's and have sobbed a lot of the way through it, and I want to read yours. Thank you, Casey Cat. We're not in that stage of our life right now, you guys. I mean, as we speak, you know, this is already taking so much of our time to just sit here with all of you reacting to all of this unthinkable, disgusting stuff. But, you know, we are working on our art and we have our projects underway, and that's how we're going to be able to share our story. And I'll let y'all know when I write the book. But thank you so much. And yes, shout out to Jenna Miscavige. You guys go check out that book, Beyond Belief, the one that Thomas E. Tobin read and then went with the headline, she had a really rocky childhood in a church. It's unthinkable. And shout out to her that has been advocating for kids when it wasn't popular whatsoever, freshly out of this disgusting scheme. She went on the public record trying to sound the alarm. But, you know, thanks to the corporate sanitizing media, you know, they only just got their little David Miscavige bucks for themselves and didn't follow up on anything. Imagine, it's been over more than a decade now. And there's not a shred of guardrails that has been erected to help any kids. I mean, other than, okay, they don't have the cadet org anymore. Oh, great. But minors are still fully ensnared. So in what world are we supposed to be celebrating when minors are still being audited, minors are still being given ethics handlings, and minors are still being groomed through courses and dolls to normalize this disgusting, unhinged, hardcore scene that plays out in these hotels with a full-blown straight face. Casey the Cat, do you believe Mike won't admit to his part for fear of facing charges or some of what he did? He did some very bad stuff. His right to judge other morals was given up due to his OSA activities. Well, good question, Casey the Cat. And all we could say is the law requires people come to their senses. The law rewards people for getting on the record and saying, look, I'm about to fully incriminate myself against my Fifth Amendment right, but I really do want these hotels to not get away with destroying children's lives. So here's my criminal attorney. We're going to make a deal. I'm going to give you every single thing I did and saw was done. And let's start the criminal case so we can really shut the hotels up. But here you have this guy that talks about the Vatican. It's really the Vatican in there. And it's like they know the right words to paralyze law enforcement, you guys. They know the right words. Oh, it's very ecclesiastical and Vatican-like. So, you know, I really want to help and I really want to stop. But, you know, y'all can't really stop people from abusing kids. So, Mike Rinder, why have you not gone and cut yourself a deal? Why? Why have you not encouraged other parents to follow your example and say, all of us that trafficked our own kids into the Sea Org, all of us, let's go and cut a deal. Let's end this disgusting, nauseating scheme that was pitched to us by our own parents, that was normalized by our own parents. But again, you guys, actions speak louder than words. Actions do definitely speak louder than words. As of the year 2024, everyone is going with the full benefit of the doubt that nothing untoward happened inside of those hotels, and it couldn't be more of a protected activity. And again, we're saying hardcore role plays are not something any shred of child had a sense of consent. We were made to feel like we were co-signing on it. We were told we were adults. We were told that, we've been living a lot of lifetimes. So, our bodies are just catching up to our spiritual age and aren't, they were luring us with these false pitches. And, they're nowhere on the public record to repudiate that or to call themselves out. They're highly selective and full of selective amnesia to see what they say and what they don't say. Because, it's not just Mike Rinder, you guys. I mean, it's literally, I call out my own father. I call out all fathers. All fathers are dead beats. All of them. It took all of them to prop this up. It's keeping up with the Joneses is what in the hell it's called. Oh, the Joneses are doing it, then we can do it. Oh, the Rinders are doing it, then we can do it. Oh, the Miscaviges are doing it. Oh, we can do it. The Gills are doing it. Oh, we can do it. The Headleys are doing it. We can do it. The Cardones are doing it. We can do it. The Minkoffs are doing it. We can do it. It's all it took. The more of them that did it and saw it and they all, you're doing it. We're doing it. All our kids are ensnared. Who cares? We couldn't be more blind. So it literally makes no sense. It's kind of what it's giving, all of this dysfunction, to be honest. But thank you for your super chat, Casey Cat, and thank you for your questions. Thank you, Matrix Tech Solutions, for your super sticker. I really appreciate it. JL, how did you get the program from COS? Feels like Rinder needs your tips. Is Mike too far in it for redemption? Just things I've been thinking about. Sorry. I don't know, you guys. I don't know how I got deprogrammed. I just know that, I've learned through therapy that sadistic, disgusting, hardcore role plays on kids are not a good idea, that we never consented to that we weren't adults. And, Mike Rinder has been on the public record stating he doesn't go to therapy and he doesn't really see that. He doesn't really believe in that and whatever. And it's like, well, good. In what world have you then changed? Because you're still making a ton of money purporting that you have changed a lot. And it's all that falling flat on its face. So, he could take the insight and he would know the insight. I mean, if you guys think that I know stuff that happened in those hotels, imagine what these people knew. I was at the bottom of the barrel of this thing. I was still at the very front lines of the disgusting role plays because I was used as a supervisor and I was used as an auditor. Those two things are what Scientology is all about. So I'm disgusted. I'm disgusted beyond belief. I'm nauseous. I want to projectile vomit anytime I think about myself sitting there, being co-opted into becoming part of this disgusting scene, but apparently they're not. Apparently they are just pressed that fair game is a thing, that adults did get abused by fair games, and that, if only we could really stop the disconnection, everything would be great. Well, you know what? We had to disconnect from all of these MFers to really wake the F up. We had to cut the ties because if you're compromised with your loyalty, it's these MFers that make you not wake up, because if the minute you start waking up, oh, you're in the wrong. Oh, why are you having a problem? Oh, Miriam Francis, why are you making these points? You should really stay in your lane. You should really not be a flea. And that's all we get. That's all we ever got. We are in the wrong. We don't know what in the hell we're talking about. We should really love having been abused. We should really think that other kids being abused is just a religious experience that they're having for themselves. And you know what? No. with no straight face, are we ever going to support that lie? JL, love you, Serge. I admire your strength. Keep fighting. COS. Thank you. Thank you so much, you guys. Well, y'all are the ones that are literally helping us. So thank you to all of you who are sitting here listening to these unthinkable conversations that we're having. I mean, imagine how long it's taken me to connect a shred of dot, you guys. And, you know, no kid ever wants to wake up to this level of betrayal. Like, it's unthinkable. Like, I mean, yes, today I might sound strong. The first couple of years where I started to connect these dots, I mean, again, because these people taught me how to interrogate, how to investigate, how to connect dots, how to not just take whatever in the hell I was told. If I was told this and I was told that, guess what? My head would be sliced in two, would be put on a literal pike. Oh, you MF'd, you literally destroyed this investigation. Now it's your neck on the line. And I couldn't undo that. So yeah, shout out to L. Hubbard, who did teach me to be swinishly suspicious, did teach me that pulling a string is something that you do when you're investigating something. This doesn't make sense. Pull the string. Why? And you better come up with an answer that actually makes a shred of sense, because if not, you're just being misdirected. Oops, you're going off the wrong path. And I think that is really what, you know, what we get for ourselves, you know. In the aftermath of it all, we have to alchemize all of that dysfunction, and we have to stand up for what we now know is 1000% disgustingly wrong, illegal AF. As if child trafficking was legal, you guys. As if locking up passports of minors legal. And that's covered in the Cohn, Swift, and Graf literal lawsuit that's been filed in Tampa Bay federal court. And with the grace of God and some actual justice, that won't get derailed for kids that signed that stuff to get told that, oh, oops, you did leave that 30. Oh, look, Valeska, you left that 30. So you really had to mediate because you really did know what in the hell you were signing when you signed this binding contract. And we would love to understand how Mike Rinder has no idea that those binding mediation contracts were crafted up, because, you know, if he left in 2007, then in what world were you not involved with making up that part of the contract, Mike Rinder? We would love to know if you have nothing to do with that. And if you didn't have anything to do with it, then who did? Who took over for that? Rinder, Rathbun, and Headley were too high up for them not to be complicit. I mean, those are the facts. They went up floated up to the top, you guys, and it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. We wouldn't wish this on our worst literal enemy, to be ensnared at those levels, to have been granted access, to have normalized disgusting depravities, to even someone like Claire Headley. She had no shred of a clue. In what world was she going to know that all of this disgusting shit was completely unthinkable? But yet she's had 18 years, and by now she should have a shred of a clue. So in 18 years now, you should have a shred of a clue, Claire Headley. You really should. Because you know what? An idiot is something you are not. You are all too smart for your own good. No one that was an idiot rose up the ranks of this disgusting motel. If they were idiots, they were sent to wash dishes full time. So you also were abused. You also were used in this scheme. But apparently you've been the confidential informant of the FBI for however long you've been. So in what world is the FBI so kneecapped and so pressed and handling these people with little kitty gloves? Because God forbid they get insulted, and God forbid they get told, no, you cannot subject kids to a hardcore scene. And that's something that you were very well aware of, Claire Headley, because you were also highly trained. You were an RTC rep. You approved OT eligibilities. What does that mean, Claire Headley? How many self-admitted pedos ended up getting invited to do their OT levels. You were the one that had to approve them, right? You were the one that had to invite them. So by all means, in what world have you never spoken about that? In what world is that not resonating with you in any way, shape, or form as to what in the hell needs to be called out? Because that's all that's being asked of you. Call it out. Every single thing was an L. Ron Hubbard policy and idea. You didn't come up with that. You didn't come up with, oh, you know what? It would be a great day to let a self-admitted pedo act out that he was confused, and then all of a sudden we invite him to the OTs because he really did pay a lot of money and he really did make a lot of amends for us to trust him to get him ensnared in the OT levels. So that wasn't your idea, but you know, you were used as a pawn to do the bidding of indicted, convicted felons, included not convicted, not indicted, and now presumed fully innocent Shelly Miscavige and David. So did you not see anything that they ever did that was untoward? Did nothing ring a bell other than, you know, Captain Davy and let's really make a doll because that's really going to do a lot of awareness, make a doll about David? I mean, that's what's being called out of you, Claire Headley. That does run that new 501c. You were at the top of one other 501c, and now you're at the top of another 501c. And, you know, your actions are speaking a lot louder than the words that are being put on the public record, including you knowing that Mike Rinder was going to put up this Fleas statement. Start talking about the next generations who need a platform and stop talking about all the stuff you set up and created in Scientology. Very true. I mean, that's exactly what we're saying. It's like so many kids were abused. So many kids are being told that they deserved it and they didn't deserve it. Miriam didn't deserve what was done to her. Neither did I, neither did Laura, neither did Jenna, neither did Sterling Tompkins, neither than Justin Tompkins, neither than Sam Rodil, neither than every last shred of kid that's been ensnared in the clutches of this disgusting thing. Neither than any kid that had no childhood for themselves. None. Because they were told they were adults. They were told, you know, you're having a jolly old time here and you're really about to go very, very free. And you know what? We weren't going free. Child trafficking did not produce a shred of win for us. So all the wins we wrote in those disgusting folders were all just a bunch of BS. Breaking news to you, Mike Rinder, and the rest of the stupid ass executives. Y'all cajoled these kids into these rooms, hotel rooms, and snared them in this disgusting hardcore role play, and they couldn't get out unless they said they loved it, right? According to your great, you know, larger than life, you know, person that you really loved, L. Ron Hubbard. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Joanna. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Carol Stewart. Literally, really, Mike Rinder, Mother Church. Look at him bigging himself on a time in the head. Yeah, it's not a Mother Church, you guys. It's all these euphemisms that have been used to launder an image. It's just that simple. Like, it's not the facts. The facts aren't described by the words. The words is what created the disassociative state of these people where the cognitive dissonance was rampant. Rampant cognitive dissonance is what in the hell it's called. When people, you know, just pretend that one word can really sanitize, you know, abominable, disgusting, indefensible things. And so many of these people are second generation. Blow Drill, for example, he was a second generation. And, you know, he also has been told that everything that was done to him, he deserved because, you know, he did choose for himself to go in the Sea Org. And none of us did deserve it. None of us did join on our own volition. Our parents ensnared us. And you know what? Our parents can take it up with Mike Rinder. Our parents can literally take it up with Mike Rinder if they really want to file a complaint. I'm not looking to reconnect with my child traffickers. I don't give an F about my parents. I've already shut that door. They're there. They're loving it. They have put their money where their literal mouth is by their actions. They were never parents. They're two people that birthed me and enslaved me with a straight face. And they're nowhere to be found to repent about anything. So I don't want to connect to them. I want nothing to do with them. I want the FBI to go and ask them a couple questions. Where's the paperwork? Where is the paperwork that you brought this child here to? And honestly, it's only so that other kids that are stuck in there right now. I mean, I'm already gone, you guys. I'm already, again, the ones that are out, we're so lucky. We're so lucky to be on the other side of this. I mean, as much as it might not look like luckiness, but so many of our friends are not here, are literally nowhere to be found anymore, because as we were talking just with Nora yesterday, like by the time they're done with you, you want to just off yourself. Like that's a horrendous, disgusting coping mechanism that comes from being literally false imprisoned. That's right, Paris. Holding someone against their will is called false imprisonment, which is a felony every single time. And in what world are these audits that normalize that at an industrial scale? Not that. You know, so that's what it's called, you guys. That's what it's called. That's what the facts are. And, you know, we all have to pick our big boy pants now to ask these questions and not be, you know, cajoled and told that, oh my God, Osa's really going to come and get you. Well, you know what, Osa? We do have attorneys on speed dial now. We do have advocates on speed dial now. We have a whole growing community of concerned taxpayers and citizens that, God forbid anything happens to us, y'all will be in a lot of trouble real MF quick. So that's why we're not scared of y'all anymore, because your pathetic lawlessness is never gonna win. Even no matter how much the LAPD is compromised, no matter how much the Clearwater Police is compromised, even they will go and self-preserve after their whole entire reputation is wrecked and in tatters. They're going to have to start reconciling the facts. The leadership at the LAPD right about now is having to reconcile a lot of shit for themselves. And so does Karen Bass. And so does all the politicians in Clearwater that are sitting there with their heads up there. You know what? It's called self-preservation. So yes, this mafia has bought everyone off and has been acting with impunity, and it's all over the public record. Well, you know what? That fortifies our statements. That shows a pattern. We're not sitting here just blabbing and making it all up. We don't have to. We literally don't have to. We have to believe survivors. We have to believe the people that have lived to tell. We have to hold space for Miriam Francis so that she can literally tell us what in the hell she ran into when she's looking for justice for herself and put her dad to some accountability. Because what she said, it's like, if we don't hold these people accountable, then what message does that send to the rest of the predators? That, oh, it's going to be really easy. Look how hard it is. Look at those people that are out there every single night. Look at those people that have all that YouTube support, and they still cannot get a shred of justice. And they still get gaslit. And they still have the LAPD acting reckless and just completely corrupt in front of the entire world to see how easy it is for them to abuse the power that they don't have, because they don't have that power. The Constitution doesn't afford them to break their oaths, and all of a sudden they have no problem for themselves. Those eras are going to change. And thanks to all of you who are holding this space, we'll continue to ask questions, and we won't get told that we're not allowed to ask questions anymore. All survivors are allowed to question the public record. All survivors are allowed to question the perpetrators, all of them. It is called power to survivors. What these people did is take our power away from us. Told us that First Amendment right inside of those hotels was fully, highly illegal, because L. Hubbard did write a policy where anytime you were critical, they were going to come and literally pile up on you to tell you that you're the one with the problem. Well, you know what? We know today it's taken us a lot of years, literally decades, to find out we're not the ones with the problem. And thanks to all of you in our communities that are standing for the facts and the truth and the law, every single one of these people is getting the message that their days are literally numbered. And there is a golden age of reckoning that is going to have to take place. So all of these abuses that have been normalized and groomed do come to a full and complete stop, because that's what in the hell the law says. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. And I will see you guys all at Rabbits. Thank you so much, you guys. I'll see you very soon.